is up, you guys, and welcome back to another video. We are doing our June wrap up, and let me tell you guys something. This has probably been one of the best reading months I've had thus far this year. I feel like my last 2 reading months, or even 3, have not been the best. I've been really crunched with time, the kids, working from home. I feel like there was always something going on. And with June, even though the kids were off of school and it was pretty chaotic in the home, I definitely prioritized reading a lot more this month, and I'm so happy that I did so. Now, although I only read 4 books, one of the books I read was on my Kindle, and it was a very short novella story. However, this book right here was a chunker, so I counted this one as like 2 books. So I feel like I did really good. I hope you guys had a really amazing June reading month. I hope you guys were introduced to new authors, new books, new everything, or you had some returning authors. I hope they were good to you. Let's get into my June TBR. So the first book that I have here is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. When I read Fourth Ring, which is the first book in the Empyrean series, when I read that book, it was twisty, it was thrilling, the slow burn was burning, it was just so good. Iron Flame is that and then some, but rushed. Okay, there's so much going on in this book that I was a little lost. I felt that Iron Flame was so much more complex to read because of the excess details that were not needed. I wish that the character dialogue was so much better, because eventually these characters are growing up, they're experiencing new things, new trials. I expected their dialogue to be so much better. And don't even get me started on the argument between Violet and Xaden. Okay, that every time that argument came up in a scene, I literally had to close the book and walk away, which was a lot. But here's what I did love about this book. The action scenes. The action scenes held this book together. It kept it alive. It kept it moving forward. Rebecca Yarros spared no one's life in these action scenes. It was exciting. It was thrilling, and it literally kept you on the edge of your seat, because with each action scene, you're like, oh, I know she's about to let somebody go. Another thing that I love was Xaden's "I'll destroy the world" energy to save you for Violet. I'm a sucker for that. I'm an absolute sucker for it. Was it too much at sometimes? Sure, but I'm a sucker for it, so I'll take it. Another thing besides the action, there was more added to the plot. Not only was there more added to the plot, but a lot of our questions were answered from Fourth Ring, which was really nice. And lastly, the way that this book ended, y'all, the way that this book ended leaves you on the biggest cliffhanger ever, and literally changes the trajectory of the new book, Onyx Storm, that comes out. How Rebecca is going to pull this together and make it make sense, and I don't know what's going to happen in the next book, but I really enjoyed it. I'm excited for Onyx Storm to come out in January of next year. Sis is making us wait. The next book that I have here is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This book talks about Lucy and Felix, and Lucy and Felix 5 years ago has this amazing hot-filled night. The chemistry is undeniable between them. However, they can't be together. Why? Because Felix is Bridget's brother and Lucy is Bridget's best friend, and Bridget, which is the common denominator here, says to the bestie, Lucy, I don't want you talking to my brother. You can't fall in love with my brother. I strongly dislike that trope so much, because at the end of the day, we are grown. We're going to talk to whoever we want to talk to, and there's nothing a simple conversation can't fix. Anyway, dislike that trope. But aside from that, the writing style was absolutely forgettable. I am not going to remember these characters. I'm not going to remember this author. I truly did not enjoy this book. I feel like there was no character development. I feel like the synopsis alludes to they have this unforgettable, amazing chemistry, and it just keeps bringing them back together. No. Nothing says they belong together. They're destined to be together. They complement each other. Nothing at all says that. It was just a very bland read. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to read it to the end, because maybe there's something at the end for me. No, there wasn't. Speaking of besties, I read Bye Baby by Carola Lovering. I read it on my I read it. I read it on my Kindle, and reading on my Kindle has been such a nice experience. I want to talk to you guys more about that in another video, but I read this on my Kindle, and y'all, interesting. This is a psychological thriller between two best friends, Carrie and Billy. They had their friendship from when they were like in high school to now adulthood. They kind of drifted away because Carrie wanted to leave her past behind, and in doing so, she had to let Billy go. I would do the same. I would do the same. Now, Billy really wanted a friendship with Cassie. She wanted to continue their friendship, but Cassie did not want that. And I did feel bad for Billy in the beginning. I was super empathetic for Billy, but then it got really pitiful. It got really, really sad. At some point, I was like, Billy, let it go. Sis did not let it go. Instead, she kidnaps Cassie's baby. What? And how this story ended, I was so freaking annoyed, because let me tell you something. If I had a bestie and she stole my baby, I would choose violence on sight every time. If you're wondering what I look like when I fight, this is it, okay? But because of the looming secret over Cassie's head between Cassie and Billy, she had to react very carefully. It literally makes no sense, but these characters are both complex and in my eyes deserve each other. But if they stayed together, if they stayed friends, it would have been a toxic relationship anyway. Y'all, this book was crazy, okay? The next book that I have here is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is my first Emily Henry read. This one talks about Daphne and Miles, how they navigate their breakups, not from each other, but within the relationships or in that inner circle that seems to be going on here. So Daphne was engaged to Peter, who's best friends with Petra, who was dating Miles. Peter leaves Daphne for his best friend Petra, leaving Daphne with 1 week to get her ish together and move out of the house. Once again, on site. Violence on site, because Petra would have known for years. If that's her best friend and there were feelings there, Petra would have known for years that there was something there. And he all of a sudden realizes that he has feelings for Petra, comes home to fiance and tells her, this is not it. I'm in love with the bestie and I'm giving you 1 week to move out. And in that week, sorry, it's a spoiler, I'm going on vacation with Petra. We're going out. We're going out the country. A very irritatingly good book. Well done, Emily Henry. Well done. And the last book that we have here for June, you guys, is Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. She is an auto-buy author for me. I love her so stinking much. She is so good. Whatever this woman writes, it's gold at this point. I just love it so much. Can you imagine if Taylor Jenkins Reid wrote a fantasy? Sorry, I needed a moment of silence there because I could just imagine how impactful that would be. This is a short story between Carrie and David as their spouses are having an affair together. And Carrie and David find out about this affair through letters. Now, the format of this book is also very interesting because you're reading letters between them two. There is no narrator in this story, and I freaking love this format so much because I felt nosy. I felt like I was reading bochinche. I felt like I was reading through someone's mail. This is such an interesting story because as they're reading these letters, as they're discovering this affair that's going on between their spouses, they're doing absolutely nothing about it. It's no longer about them having this affair anymore. It's about Carrie and David now finding some type of solace within each other, opening up about their marriage to each other. Then now they're starting to form some type of relationship. But I did enjoy how this story ended given this situation. Like I said, I feel like Carrie and David had so much power in this story too because they were one decision away from living a completely different life. And it kind of gives you that sweet reminder too that we have so much power in our decision as well. I'm telling you, Taylor Jenkins Reid every single time. Y'all, that is it for our June wrap up. You know the drill. If you have read any of the books that I had read this month and you need someone to talk about it with, let it be me. Meet me in the comments. How did the book make you feel? What was your takeaway from it? If you liked this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And until the next one, bye for now.